So we're going to do some more coordinate geometry proofs, specifically talking about triangles and the different formulas that we have to use in order to prove things. So if we're dealing with triangle proofs, we're going to use the slope formula in order to prove that lines are perpendicular, right? Because if we have negative reciprocals, then the lines are perpendicular. That lines are perpendicular, and we have a right angle. Because if we have a right angle, we can have a right triangle. We use the distance formula to prove that lines are congruent. So this is specifically when we're talking about equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. So in the next one, given triangle RST, is RST a right triangle? So we're talking about a right angle. So we're looking for perpendicular lines. So we're looking at the slopes. So first, let's plot our points. So we have 1, 1, 2, 6, and 7, 5. So we have R, S, and T. So we are looking at the slopes of all of these sides. So our slope formula. And now we're going to start with our side. So we'll start with RS. So we're doing 1 minus 6 over 1 minus 2, which is negative 5 over negative 1, which simplifies to 5. Now let's do ST. So we're doing 6 minus 5 over 2 minus 7, which is 1 over negative 5. So I do have a pair of perpendicular lines because I have slopes that are the negative reciprocals. So I can say that RS and ST are perpendicular. So I have a right angle at angle S. So triangle RST is a right triangle because the slopes of RS and ST are negative reciprocals. So the lines are perpendicular and form a right angle at angle S. Now find the coordinates of M, the midpoint of the base RT. So this is asking us to recall the midpoint formula just for additional practice. So now we're doing from RT. So R is 1, 1. So we're doing 1, 1. And T is 7 and 5. Which gives us 4, 3. So now, given JEN, prove that triangle JEN is an isosceles right triangle. So this is proving two things. So we're going to need both the distance formula to prove the isosceles part, and and the slope formula to prove the right angle part. So first thing we do is we plot our points. So we have J, we have E, and we have N. So now we'll tackle one thing at a time. So let's first do the slopes. So let's do the slope of JE. So we have M is equal to, subtracting the y, so we're doing 1 minus -3 over -4 minus -2, which gives us 4 over -2, which simplifies to -2. Now if we do EN, M is equal to -3 minus -1, -2 minus 2. So that gives me -2 over -4, which simplifies to 1/2. And we can see that these two are negative reciprocals. So we have a right angle at E. So now we need to check the distances to also show that they are isosceles. So let's do the distance of JE. So I already know the subtracting of, so I have 4 squared plus -2 squared, which gives me 16 plus 4 square root of 20. And then if I do EN, I have 1 squared plus, not 1 squared, I have -2 squared plus -4 squared, which also equals square root of 20. So I can say because the slopes of JE and EN are negative reciprocals, the sides are perpendicular, and form a right angle at E. Now also the distances of JE and EN are the same. So JE is congruent to EN. Therefore, triangle JEN is an isosceles right triangle. Triangle ABC has vertices. Prove that that CAT is an isosceles right triangle. So again, same thing that we did in the previous one. So -2, 4 for C, 6, 2 for A, and 1, -1 for D. So I want to show that the slopes, I have a pair of negative reciprocal slopes and two distances that are the same. So I'm going to again need to use both my formulas, my slope formula and my distance formula. So let's look what we can do. Let's start with the slopes. So let's do CT. So we're doing 4 minus -1, -2 minus 1. So we have 5 over -3. Now if I do TA, I could do a different color. TA, if I do -1 minus 6 and 1, I'm sorry, not -1 minus 6, -1 minus 2 and 1 minus 6, I'm going to get -3 over -5, which is 3 over 5. So here I have my negative reciprocals. So now I need to do my distances. So this is 5 squared. This is, -3 squared plus 5 squared, which is 9 plus 25, which is square root of 34. TA, so we have -5 squared plus -3 squared, which again is the square root of 34. So I have both my perpendicular lines and my distances being the same. So I can write out triangle JEN is an isosceles right triangle because CT is perpendicular to TA, because the slopes are negative reciprocals, and CT is congruent to AT because the distances are the same. Okay, so now the next one is a little bit more open-ended. It's asking how can we classify the triangle. So we're talking scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. So here we're looking at the lengths of the sides, so we're going to have to use the distance formula. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we're at 0, 0 for A, 3, 2 for B, and 0, 4 for C. So here we're just checking the distances of our three sides to see what we can say. So we have AB. So we have 0 minus 3 squared plus 0 minus 2 squared. Plug the whole thing into your calculator. 9 plus 4, which is square root of 13. Now we're going to do the same thing with BC. 3 minus 0 squared plus 2 minus 4 squared. So that is 9 plus 4 again, which is square root of 13. And then we have CA. 0 minus 0 squared plus 0 plus 4 minus 0 squared, which is square root of 16, which is equal to 4. So what we can say is that triangle, so we can say that AB is congruent to BC because the distances are equal CA is not congruent because the distance is not the same. Therefore, triangle ABC is isosceles. Because there are only two congruent sides. So now again, we're going to do the same thing. -2, 3, -2, -7, and 4, -5. So is this scalene, isosceles, equilateral? No triangle can be drawn. Sorry. Oh, I misdrew. So we're at -2. Wait, no. -2, +3, -2, -7, and 4, -5. I did do it right. So we can't draw a triangle. So we're checking the distances again. So we have square root -2 minus -2 squared plus 3 minus -7 squared. -2 plus 2 is 0. 3, so that's going to be 10. -2 minus 4 squared plus -7 minus -5 squared. 36, and then we're adding, so 36 plus 4, so that's going to be square root of 40. And now -2 minus 4 squared plus 3 minus -5 squared. -2 minus 4, so it's 36 plus 3 minus -5, so that gives us 8. So it's 36 plus 64, which is 100. Square root of 100 is 10. So this is an isosceles triangle because the distances are equal, so sides are congruent. You would write this out nicer if this was a full proof. Okay, so for 7.8 homework, so we're just proving that the triangle is a right triangle. So this is looking at our slopes. So x is 1, 1. Y is 4, 3. Z is -1, 4. So now I'm going to do the slopes of my sides. So we're doing m is equal to 1 minus 3 over 1 minus 4, which gives me -2 over -3, which is 2 over 3. We're now doing yz. M is equal to 3 minus 4 over 4 minus -1, which is -1 over 5. And now we're doing zx, 4 minus 1 over negative 1 minus 1, which is 3 over negative 2. So I have my negative reciprocals. So because the slopes of xy and xz are negative reciprocals, the lines are perpendicular and form a right angle at x. Therefore, triangle XYZ is a right triangle because it contains a right angle.